Welcome back to the Phenom Blue Surface Lab. Today we're going to take a look at one of our latest surface applications that we created for one of our pharmaceutical clients, and Evan here is going to show us what all went into it and how he made it work. So let's go take a look. All right, Evan, so I know we created this application for one of our pharmaceutical clients. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, one of our pharmaceutical clients approached us. They had a trade show that's actually going on right now. They kept coming out with a new drug. And so what they wanted to do is they wanted to create an immersive kind of 3D experience to help sell the drug and kind of show a little bit of how it works. So at this trade show, we actually had a Microsoft Surface machine, and it was a couple of them inside of a giant 30-foot stomach that was erected in the middle of their booth. So what we did was we created an experience for them where they could use gestures and also object recognition to kind of explore around inside of an actual stomach while they were inside the giant stomach model, and just kind of give an idea of how the drug's supposed to work. And we were able to play around a lot with some 3D aspects of WPF, and it also challenged us to help push the limits of the actual Surface machine and see what it could accomplish.
All right, well, it sounds like a lot of work. Let's take a look at what you did.
So here we are. This is the launcher menu, and this is our application that we wrote for the trade show. This is just kind of a quick little animation right now of an active parietal cell spewing out lots and lots of acid. So the first thing we see here is just an environment of the stomach, and as we can see, you can use two hands here to zoom in and out. Then we also allow the user to pan around inside the environment. So the way to advance through this environment that we have is to go ahead and zoom in, and so once we get to a first level, we're actually going to go ahead and jump into the next level. So here we are actually inside the field of gastric pits, and so again we allow the user to zoom in and out and also move around. This one's kind of boring, so let's go ahead and move in a little further. So here we are, we've dropped into an individual gastric pit, and so we have a couple different parietal cells floating around, and so this is where kind of the cool animations take place. So one of the things we did to help kind of utilize the technology that Microsoft Surface has, we actually put bite tags on the bottom of a plate here to help us kind of simulate the introduction of food into our stomachs. So once the plate sits down and recognizes that there's food there, we can see we've got some nice little particles coming out, and food is going to be absorbed into the system. So once this food is done, the acid sequence is going to initiate. And then we're going to have kind of a cool little animation here where these parietal cells actually activate. So once these parietal cells are active, they wanted to show how the drug works inside the system. And so they also created a pill replica that has a tag on the bottom as well. That's going to come out with the different granules that we can go ahead and administer into the system. So to use kind of the multi-touch interface, you basically just kind of touch as many granules as you need to go ahead and drag them into the system, and then give them a little flick and they're just going to go ahead and fly away. So you can see that once the pills have been administered, the acid is going to shut down and decrease a little bit. There's kind of two different releases, so that once we kind of move our time forward here to some point later in the day, your acid sequence is going to go ahead and increase again, and then some of those cells that were inactive are now active. So now that we've moved ahead, we can go ahead and introduce the rest of the granules.
Acid secretion sequence inhibited.
So now that the rest of the granules were introduced, we went ahead and inhibited the acid once again. So now we're back to some inactive parietal cells, and we'll show you the actual parietal cell overlay itself, which kind of gives the users a unique perspective on what a parietal cell may look like, and also allows them to spin it around and give you a 3D experience. So again, if we go ahead and activate this parietal cell, it's kind of another cool animation that comes up. So now we have an active parietal cell with all the acid spewing out, and something that would happen after you'd eaten. And again, we're allowed the user to spin around and interact with this and kind of give a whole 3D perspective of what the cell may look like. So along with that, we're going to go ahead and put the drug back on the screen now. We also give the users the ability to look and see what the granules and how they kind of work. So if we go ahead and bring up our little granule overlay here, we just kind of have a little model of how the granules work and kind of what acid levels they start to increase and dissolve. So once we're done looking at that, they also gave some more information on the doctors and just kind of a quick little chart here of how the drug works. So users were done walking through the experience. They could go ahead and just start back over at the stomach, and we'll just go ahead and zoom them back out. And then of course, with anything in the pharmaceutical world, one of the most important things they had to have is the important safety information. This is kind of what the inside of a stomach looks like and help you bring that experience on the Microsoft Surface.